My name is Jordan Matic, and this is the PR workshop. And if you guys are not familiar with that term PR, it stands for public relations. And basically, what we are the people who presents NAs to the public eye. So a lot of times the work we do, you don't see much of it. You don't, because it's kind of like taken for granted that the fact that a meeting list is there when you need a meeting list, or the website is there when you look online, or that when you call the 1-800 number, somebody is there to answer the phone. These are just part of the things that PR has been doing currently. We have some projects that we're working on to expand our image a little bit for the Georgia region. And a couple of them we're going to talk about today. Also, along with the fact that we have a project going where there's going to be television and radio public service announcements coming on the air. You know, because we look at it like we need to get the message out to as many people as possible, because that's the blood of NA, the new blood. That's how we get new people in. So generally, when it comes to a facility, the best way to describe it is public relations deals with the staff and H&I deals with the clients. You know, public relations comes in first and says, we're NA, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and this is what we won't do, right? Because people have a right to their facility. You know, they have a right to choose what they want, but we have traditions that we have to live by. So we set the format for that, so there's no misunderstandings. Because, we've had a history of some misunderstanding. Once we get in places, people have an expectation of us that we can't fulfill, right? And that's what we do. But we got a couple of topics, and PR, lately we've been dealing with some topics that's a little bit controversial in a sense. But the whole idea of it is, this is what we're going to do. We got two great speakers. They both going to share, and then after they share, we're going to open it up. After they share, we're going to open it up for questions and answers, okay? So we're going to talk. I got Juan here over here on my right, and one of our future things that we're looking at is expanding our reach in the Spanish community, right? Because, you think about the whole state of Georgia, we probably have 2 meetings that's Spanish-speaking meetings in the whole state. With as large of a Spanish population that we have, we never really have had an opportunity to address that, and that's something that we're looking to expand into. And then on my left here, I got Danny, and she's going to touch on that subject that's can be controversial. We're talking about medicine and NA. Because one of the things public information does is, not only do we deal with the public, it's our job also to inform the fellowship of their role in NA's image, right? That's part of our duties. That's one of our 4 main things that we do in public relations. So I think it's good that we get some information out. It's good to get that conversation and that controversy out there. So let's get some people talking. So I'm going Juan first. Then I'm going to let Danny come on back and tighten it up. So I'll give you Juan.
I thought Danny was going to go first.
Danny thought Danny was going to go first. No.
You want to go first?
No.
Scary guy.
You can go first.
My name is Danny, and I'm an addict.
Go ahead, Danny.
Okay, and so my purpose today is to offer my experience, strength, and hope on the subject of medications and their use in Narcotics Anonymous and recovery. And so basically I have this IP, or it's a NA Groups and Medication, and it's based off of our first tradition, and that states that our common welfare comes first, that personal recovery depends on NA unity, and that unity depends on how well we follow our traditions, right? So having said that, when someone comes in and they have to have, say, medications, I'm just going to give you an example. So you go to the doctor, right, and you find out that you have diabetes, or you have hypertension, or something that requires a medical, management in order for you to basically, live to the best of your ability, right? So you would go to the doctor and you would be managed by a physician, right? We don't have to self-medicate in that regard. You can't go to the store and buy blood pressure medication. You can't go on the street, I guess you can't go on the street and buy, medications for diabetes. They require the direct supervision of a physician, right? So when you come into NA, there's also that component that you're going to be coming off of a medication. And with that, there's serious, I wouldn't say side effects, but it's like withdrawals and physical attributes that relate to coming off of that medication, such as nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, severe pain, sweating, things of that nature, things that you don't think that are controlled, abdominal cramps. And so what they do in some of the treatment facilities today, they are putting these patients on medications, and it's called drug replacement. And with that drug replacement, it is basically to just get those people through that period under the supervision of medical professionals, so they can hopefully get off of that medication and learn how to live, right? But they have to want it. So sometimes when people go to treatment, they don't want it. They're going because they're mandated and what have you, so they're just going through the motions, right? So they don't have that mindset like, I have gotten to my bottom. I hurt so bad that I'm going to go in and do what I have to do in order to find a new way to live, right? They're coming in because they have to. So they get on this medication, right? And it curbs that craving. Because what these medications do is they basically mimic what the bad drugs do. They basically saturate the opiate receptors or the pain receptors in your brain. And it makes your body feel or think that it's high, right? With that is another thing, and you have to basically come off of that medication. But what it is unless they're getting the treatment, unless they're under the direct supervision of professionals, unless they have a sponsor or know about Narcotics Anonymous, they're not going to know that there is, that they have to get off of this. This is like, well, I'm not doing heroin. I'm not doing this. No, but you're doing the Subutex or you're doing the methadone. And those are just two examples that come to mind right now of the medications that are used to replace, to make the body think that it's still high. So, okay, you're taking that medication, but you're not going to meetings, right? You don't have a sponsor. You don't have people in the fellowship that can tell you their experience, strength, and hope on how I did this. Man, I wasn't on that, but this is the way I did it. I sat in the room in a corner and wet myself and threw up every 5 minutes and shook like there was no tomorrow. But I got through it. So medications in Narcotics Anonymous, I feel, are very important to an extent, especially if it's medication related. You come in and you have psych issues. Say you're bipolar. Say you have a dual diagnosis and you're manic depressant and you're a drug addict. And you require medications and efforts to basically sustain and live like I will say, quote unquote, a normal person should. You have that, ability. But what does that require? It requires the direct medical supervision of a health professional. You don't go out and buy those medications on the street. You don't go out and, seek someone to say, okay, I have this and this is what I need. What I'm trying to get at is medications sometimes are necessary in Narcotics Anonymous. But what does that do to the group? We don't know. We don't want to pass judgment and turn these people away. Because what Narcotics Anonymous is about is carrying the message of recovery, carrying the message of hope to an addict. And the only requirement of that is coming in with a desire to stop using, right? So you come in and say you're on these medications, but you really want to learn how to live. You don't want to be on these street drugs anymore. So you come in and you get this message from those that are in this fellowship. Having said that, what is the responsibility of the fellowship when it comes to someone being on these medications? We do want to carry that message to these people. We need to carry this message because there is a message of hope behind all of this. We can make them feel welcome. We don't have to turn them away, or we shouldn't turn them away. We don't have to give them positions in, doing GSR and what have you, but they can also come in and they can make the coffee. They can still feel part of the group. They can get the meeting ready, for it to take place. So let me look at this just to make sure I'm not missing anything here. The reason being with that is because the fellowship, Narcotics Anonymous is based on abstinence of all drugs, right? And so, having said that, if someone has a desire to stop using, and they are requiring the medications. They need to come in and feel as though they're welcome. They do not need to feel like they're separate or feel as though they're different, because our primary purpose is also to find the similarities and not the differences in everyone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm all over the place, and I probably am, because this is just a very vast topic. You know, and it is controversial, because if someone comes in and they're requiring something to come off of something else, you know, some of us think that that's not to be tolerated, and that's not true. Everybody is different. Everybody is unique in their own way, meaning that there are characteristics to that person. Some people require, you know, other measures, perhaps, but they do need to know that this is a program of unity, and we do have hope here, and that they can find a new way to live, and they're not alone. So I think that's going to be all that I talk about right now. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we got Juan.
My name is Juan. I'm an addict too.
Hi, Juan.
Hey, Juan.
And I want to thank you, Danny. There was one time where I was in a meeting, and right after the meeting, I heard this guy tell his sponsee, right? You need to get off that medication, you know. And I'm like, wow, he's a doctor too. You know? I think we all got to be careful with that. You know, it's important that that we're informed. You know, and thank you for being a part of that. You know, every now and then I go into one of these Hispanic stores. You know, in the back they sell tacos, burritos, and stuff. Y'all been there, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I get a feeling of wanting to find Narcotics Anonymous.
That's,
you know,
it's this.
Responsible, which means Narcotics Anonymous is available. You know, in our 10th tradition, it talks about, you know, if they don't know we exist, how are we gonna, you know, how they gonna find us? You know, there are a lot of different avenues. Okay, I want to say that I've been a part of starting 2 Spanish groups, and each of those groups, we had more non-Hispanic members in that group than we did Hispanic members. You know, it leads me to believe that some kind of way we lack in the area of not carrying the message in here, but allowing the message to get out there. You know, in Chicago, the Hispanic community has always been a big thing. You know, so showing that this is available is not as difficult. I want to welcome my man Jose here. First time in Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We used to hang out same groups in Chicago when I lived there for 3 years. You know, I'm glad, and he's part of the regional PR in Chicago too. So over there, there's so many Hispanic in Chicago and the Chicagoland area that, you know, it's apparent that it's available. Here, we got spots. You know, I almost feel that I know every Hispanic person in the NA, all right? Because we got some from the tip of the north area to the south area, east and west. And I know just about, and they'll probably all be here this weekend. So I think that the Spanish meeting in the North Atlanta area is still going. The one we had in the South Atlanta area kind of diminished, you know. We try to hold it down. One of the pioneers in that group ended up moving to Florida, and that kind of weakened it a little bit, and then it just kind of died out. That's a problem because when we do show up, what do we show up to? You know, the different avenues that I've seen that was able to help is H&I. Going into the jails and the different institutions, we may find one or two Hispanic, check it out, that don't even speak English, caught up in the system, and they don't know a way out. You know, and how can we help? You know, we'll get caught up with, but I don't speak the language. All right? I believe, because see, in Chicago too, there's meetings that are done in, for instance, Polish. You know, and I purposely went to Polish meetings because I want to feel the empathy. You know, I want to feel that no matter what language you speak, no matter where you're from, you know, I like in the third tradition, it talks about welcoming, you know, and I like that feeling of being welcome, you know, and that's what I have to do when I'm, you know, in the public's eye. You know, 11th tradition talks about maintaining my personal anonymity. You know, there's a lot to that because a lot of people get caught up in Narcotics Anonymous about that 12th tradition being something of, you got to be some sort of secret society or something, you know. And that's not what them people talking about, you know. I don't care who knows it as long as I don't forget it. It's my thing, you know, because I will talk to anybody. And those people who know me know that I will talk to anybody about this recovery process, right? And there's been time, and I want to share this one short story because I met this lady, an older lady, in a Walmart. We started talking, and to this day, I don't know how it ended up on recovery or Narcotics Anonymous, but it did. And she told me about her grandson that lives in Florida, that he's caught up, this, that, and the other. I told her what she should do, you know. 2 years later, I met her grandson in the convention, clean. And we started talking just as his grandmother and me started talking. And I carried the message to him through his grandmother. So I'm saying, not only do we need to reach the addicts, the Spanish-speaking addicts that are out there, we need to let the families and friends know that we're nothing to be afraid of. That we are a good thing. That we are a helping fellowship. And, okay, I like to think of it like this. I'm fortunate because I'm one of 8 in my family, and 5 of us are in recovery. That's some good odds, you know, and there's some odd odds too, because that don't always happen. I hear it time and time again how, well, I've been clean this amount of time, but my brother, you know, I've been working steps, but I got a sister that, oof, you know, this kind of stuff. My brothers, man, they got clean before I did. They showed me how their lives was changing, right? And that the attraction, not the promotion. Because they wouldn't even take me to meetings or, ride me until I surrender or nothing. They just let me know, hey, this works. And I found out through them that it do work. So when we start talking about, I don't speak the language, let's speak the language of empathy. Let's reach. They say what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And most of the time, when even dealing with somebody that you don't understand their language, you could reach them, man. I reached them. I felt the stuff coming. I've been to World Convention and communicated. Saying we talk, but we communicated. People that I didn't understand their language, and they didn't understand mine, but we communicated. There's something about that new book, Living Clean, The Journey Continues. It talks about that enthusiasm, right? Maintaining that enthusiasm. And as long as we carry that enthusiasm into like the disease in every area of my life, we'll reach people that seems unreachable. We'll reach people that don't know, didn't know, and wouldn't have known that we exist until we start reaching out to them, Most people that you meet are connected some kind of way to an addict that's still suffering from the disease of addiction. Most addicts that we meet, and the literature talks about, as newcomers, we try to find ways to exclude ourselves, so to speak, right? We try to find the differences and not the similarities. See, and knowing that, I can see where even if I don't speak the language, I guarantee you, if I put in a little effort, I will find the similarities, and I could reach that person. It's deep because the fifth tradition talks about our primary purpose is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. I hate to think of there are so many Spanish-speaking people struggling with this just because we don't speak the language. So now I got to question myself, what language are we talking about? Are we talking about just Spanish, or are we talking about the language of empathy, man? See, we'll say that I could recognize an addict no matter where I go, right? Most addicts say, I can go to Russia and, find me a spot, right? So sometimes when we see someone and we recognize that, I don't want to let the language barrier be the reason why I don't help. There is no room for racism in Narcotics Anonymous.
That's right. Got that right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I was copping, I copped from whoever. And look, I copped in English and in Spanish. I'll say, hey man, let me get one. If you don't understand that, dame uno. You know what I mean? It's about it's the same vibe, man. They say the disease of addiction is baffling, but so is the process of recovery, man. The process of recovery is so baffling that all you got to do is reach out to somebody and you will touch their heart. You can touch their heart because you already been there. I felt that. I felt how being at my first meeting made me feel alive for the first time since I took that first hit, man. Why not want to share that with somebody? You know what I'm saying? Hey, when you found that big sack or that look that spot that everybody was old in, hey man, I know where that thing at, right? that same enthusiasm, man, it's hitting up in them rooms, boy. They hitting up in them rooms. Them jokers talking about stuff, man, traditions. They got this thing called concepts, man. You get caught up in there, I guarantee you ain't gonna think about using. These people gonna keep you busy. These people gonna have you doing this stuff they call service. They gonna get you one of them other people they call sponsors. Huh? Who got time to you? I look, man. Every now and then, that fleeting thought of who maybe one more meeting would be good for me tonight. You know, I mean, with that enthusiasm, that willingness to reach out to that still sick and suffering addict, man. Wow, amazing things will happen. It says that when the addict works the program, amazing things start happening. Lost dreams awaken, new possibility arises. You know, look, I challenge. The first time you guys help a Spanish-speaking person get into the rooms, that's going to be one of those times. How did I do that? We may at first not even think God has anything to do with it. We might think we did it by ourselves, and that's okay. That's okay. Because, you know, I thought that too. You know, today I know that because I'm in this God-given program, God positioned me in spots that I couldn't come up with by myself. God will qualify me on stuff that I ain't qualified to do. You know? So, my message is not to the next time you see a Spanish-speaking person to go up to them and tell them that Narcotics Anonymous is available, but to make Narcotics Anonymous available. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm Joe and I'm Addict. Once again, you know, what we're looking at for the Georgia Regional. When I say the Georgia Regional, we're talking about everything from Chattanooga all the way down through Savannah. The entire region is to expand our reach. And one of the areas we know we need to expand our reach is the Spanish community. One of our goals is, you see this poster here? Is to have it in English and Spanish in every hospital waiting room and every jail waiting room in the state of Georgia. As many of them as we can get. That's our goal. Because what we found out is sometimes people call at their worst times. Mm-hmm. When they're sitting there holding their head saying, oh God, what I'm going to do? We want to be on the wall and give an option. In English and in Spanish. Right? I was just talking with the H&I chair who deals with the Gwinnett County Jail. And I told him, I said, I got Spanish literature if you need it for the jail. You know, you can have it. You know, this is what we do. This is our message. You can have it, you know. And if you run out, call us. We got a PR budget. I'll get you some more. You know, because this is what, that's our message. If we do our job right in PR, H&I has an increase in their job. That's right. The meetings have an increase overall. You know, one of the areas we've been dealing with is drug court. And, you know, there's a lot of controversy with drug court here and there. You know, people come with these slips to sign and blah, blah, blah. Well, in Gwinnett, we had to set up what is called a twice-a-month meeting, which is an introductory to Narcotics Anonymous, where we actually meet the new clients coming into drug court and share with them, like the IP number 29, what happens at the NA meeting and blah, blah. Explain to them what is to be expected, what is our meeting etiquette, you know, how you gonna get your paper signed, and what we won't do. We won't let you come in 20 minutes late and then stay 10 minutes and sign your paper and let you leave. We won't do that, you know, but they need to know. You know, and we also talk about lingo, because this is how we grow. The growth is coming in different areas. If you think that we got 63,000 meetings a weekly by saying, come to my home group, you're mistaken. It takes a lot of work through PR, H&I, a lot of grunt work with websites. And, you know, last year at Augusta, if you went to Augusta, we had a billboard up for about 3 days with the 1-800 number on it. It's a good thing, right? You can see it. So many addicts call, you can't do that. You're promoting. if you ever got any confusion, right here, I got some copies of this right here. You're more than welcome to them. That we printed out of the PR handbook. What is attraction and what is promotion and what it isn't. And one thing about it is, as long as we don't make any guarantees, we're not going to say, I used to be an addict, but I can help you now and cure your problem. We can't do that. No, we can't do that. But we can say, do you have a drug problem? We can help. We can help. We're not going to say we're going to help you. We're not going to cure you. We can say we can help. And if you call that number, we're going to get you to a meeting. Right? And that's what we do. But we got a lot of work here. For whatever area you live in, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're in Georgia, New York, Panama, whatever. The PR and H&I subcommittees needs your help. Period. Because that's the new blood of our fellowship. And you hear a lot of flack about people talking about, well, we used to do it this way, we used to do that way. Well, we got PlayStation babies now. This is not, pencil and pen and abacus and, these jokers grow up on PlayStation. It's a different era. And as our fellowship evolves, so should our ways in getting our message out. Because when I first started, all we used to do was put our message in the classifieds of the newspaper. Ain't nobody reading the newspaper no more. So now we have to go web-based, right? We have to go viral a little bit. There's still some gray areas there, with social media and all that. But the bottom line is, just remember what our literature say. Individuals are anonymous. The fellowship is not anonymous. We are not a secret society. We're not trying to hide. And the more we let people know that we're available, the more people can come to us. And we can change that 63,000 meetings to 100,000 meetings. You believe it or not, we got 63,000. The other fellowship has almost 2 million a week. A week.
Talking about big numbers?
No, meetings. Meetings. Groups. Worldwide. We're talking about worldwide. We're talking about worldwide. But there's a lot of growth for us coming. But we need your help. You know that, right? We're gonna open up for question and answer in a minute here. I'd like to thank Jose coming because Jose is working where I started at with PR. That back when it was PI, Public Information. I started in Chicago working with the PI subcommittee, and him and I were just talking about some of the things that we do. This whole poster came because I went home, because we didn't have a poster. I went home and copied Chicago's and then took the information and changed it with our numbers and stuff and sent it to a printer because we had nothing like this here, So I went home and actually took pictures and brought it back and said, hey, and brought it to this PR subcommittee. You guys want to do this? Yeah. We got table monitors that we put for all our presentation booths now. We used to have one board for the whole state of Georgia, and the PR chair was running from Chattanooga to Savannah trying to drop the board off so they're giving presentations at hospitals and stuff. We're giving every area their own kit. So now when they're doing their presentation, they don't need to be running around. That's just how we're growing. That gives us a better ability to service and to share our message. And that's what we do. We share our message. Now be mindful, y'all, wherever we go, we were talking about that image. We represent that image. Spanish-speaking community is hard. I don't speak the language, but I was in the history room, and I was looking at, if you haven't been in there, go in there and look at all the different editions with the basic text is written in. Just to show you, it's not just the Spanish; it's a whole lot. Jose was telling me about the Polish community in Chicago. It's got the second largest Polish community in the world, next to Warsaw, Poland. It's in Chicago. That's the second largest Polish community. They're addressing Spanish and Polish there. Back in the day, we had bus benches with the NA symbols and the number on it. We had our message on the CTA buses as they ran up and down the street so a person could see. So this ain't nothing that we're doing new here in Georgia. It's just our turn to start doing some of it, right? There ain't nothing new. And they've been doing this for a long time. And they've been had public service announcements on TV forever. We just haven't done it in Georgia. Now it's our turn to start doing some of those things. The public service announcements are coming out in English and in Spanish. We got both versions. You know, so when we go to Telemundo, it's the same message. Right? That's the same message. Telemundo, Univision, it's the same message. So we're looking to grow. Thank you about talking about the medicine. You know, one of the things we were talking about earlier was that you mentioned the people being bipolar and stuff. And it's weird that we got people who have some mental things, and you got people telling them, don't take your medicine. You know, if you take that, you're not clean. And then we have to be careful because we might send people out there to die based on the fact that they're not themselves because they haven't taken their medicine and they'll make a rash decision. And I always say, if you're not an MD, if you haven't took that person's blood work and looked at their charts, you probably not need to leave them alone. You know, you probably need to leave them alone. You know, oh, you can't take that. You know, that's not cool. That's not cool. So be mindful. Like, thank you again, Jose. So now what we're gonna Juan. That's Jose over there. That's Juan. I do that with Jamie and them all the time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go. Huh?
You don't know what number he was.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You 5. Go ahead, Juan.
Jeff, I'm an
Hey.
Are you one?
No, he was sitting next to you.
You are?
Next to you.
Hey, what?
I'm glad to be here. I've got a sad update that the Hispanic meeting in the North Atlanta area is folded off. But a couple things I wanted to say. You know, one is, yes, it would be great to put out announcements for Hispanic folks to call into our helpline numbers and to, you know, advertise that. But if we don't have Spanish-speaking members that are able to answer those helpline calls, and we have Spanish-speaking and only Spanish-speaking callers, we're doing a disservice if we're getting folks calling in. We're saying, sorry, no habla español. I mean, that's not such great service. That kind of makes us look like asses, and we've got to be prepared for that before we put that out there.
Right.
You know, that's one point I want to make. The other point is that I'm working very, very actively right now. I'm the activities chairperson for the North Atlanta area, and what I want to work towards in that capacity with others is eventually trying to help get a unified helpline for the entire metro area. And you know, the starting point for that, I'm hoping, is to start getting some jointly hosted activities going that will bring folks together to start having conversations around that. Because I also volunteer for the helpline for North Atlanta, and too frequently find myself saying, "Oh, you want a meeting there? Okay, wait a minute. I think that's in that area. Oh, let me look at that schedule. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not finding any there. Hold on a second. Let me pull up this other area schedule, see if I can find it there. Okay, yeah, I think it's on that schedule." And I've got people from other cities going, "What's this?" I mean, you got all these different schedules you're having to look at, and you know, whoa, what's with that mess? I'm from Detroit. We don't do it. We got one schedule for the whole city. Yeah, I know. It's like we're one city and we got 6 different meeting schedules going on, and 6 different helpline numbers, and you know, my goal, my hope, my dream is that sometimes fairly soon we'll be able to get all of our areas working together here in one coordinated helpline committee, one coordinated meeting schedule. That, you know, and I'm speaking, I guess, to not everybody here from Metro Atlanta, but the folks who are, I'm speaking mostly to y'all, that hopefully we'll be able to pull that off before it's too long. I think it will be a big service to everybody here too. A lot of our helplines in areas around town don't have enough people to work with. And if we can work together instead of having it so disjointed, we can not have so much overlap of, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take as many people as we've got, but it all split up between the two areas. So anyway, that's what I got to say.
Now, to answer your question, because that came up a few times over the years about a metro, and basically what happens is this: when you call this number here, it'll ask you for the first 3 letters of the city that you're in. If you put those first 3 letters, it's going to go directly to that area's helpline. That's the way it's designed. Now, if you just let it go through and do, it's not uncommon for East End to answer North Atlanta, Midtown, South Atlanta calls. It's not uncommon for South Atlanta to do the same thing because the way it's set up. But what we try to do is we try to have to look at it that it's bigger than just Metro. You know, it's because what do we do for the places that don't have the help, like in South Georgia? You know, we need to help them too. So what we're looking at is the whole picture. You know, it'd be nice, because I live on the East End and we're right next to North Atlanta. We got Northeast next to us and Midtown on the other side of us. It'd be real nice that we had our own little thing, but we are creating a directory, and what we're going to do, this directory is going to be given to people in the helpline. It's not something that's going to be for the fellowship. It's going to be for people in the helpline. So when it makes it much easier for you to say, well, I'm looking for a meeting in Snellville, and you don't know nothing about Snellville, you'll be able to look at that metro meeting schedule as a helpline worker, and it'll help you access it quicker. That's just what it is. And then one of our other pushes is to make sure that the GRCNA website information is always correct, because that's the main tool.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's good too. There are some limitations in that, for one being that I have an iPhone that doesn't allow me to access the web while I'm talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice if I could pull up that grading schedule while I'm on the phone, but if it can be, just keeping in mind whoever's working that, if those can be regularly updated in a PDF format so that I can download it or anybody else can. I have a Documents app on my phone that I regularly use to download updated area meeting schedules that I pull up to use to talk to people.
I'll keep that in mind. We got some transitions coming in the website, so that's something we got to do.
But if you have PDF schedules can be made available to download, that's a big help.
Well, generally, each area has PDFs on their site.
And that's what I use.
Each area has PDFs, too.
Jeff, I'm an addict.
Hey, Jeff.
How can I get a few of those folks?
Generally, we give them to all. What area are you in?
In Marietta.
Marietta. Generally, what we do, we give them to the PR chairs to give to the HNI and PR groups, because we want to make sure they go to facilities and not up in somebody's clubhouse or somebody's wall in their room. You know what I mean? So generally, you just contact your PR chair or your HNI chair. They'll probably have them for you. But if you just want one today, I'll give you one.
I would love that.
Okay.
Thank you. They had to remind me I was number
3.
I'm a recovering addict. My name is Karen.
Hi, Karen.
A couple things to go on what Brian said. Now, I was in Brazil, and I really needed a meeting. I was really hurting, and I went in that meeting, and they didn't understand me, but I could share and get it out. And when I left, I had to leave early. They stopped the meeting, and every person hugged me. Now, if I was moving there, what would I have done? And so what you were saying, it's great to have the empathy. I did a, what do they call that, poster day? Where we went on Buford Highway. This was many, many, many years ago. And we went up and down Buford Highway and we did a paper thing and we did it in Spanish with the phone number on the bottom. The problem was we had one person that spoke Spanish at the time. We've had that North Atlanta meeting several times. And I don't know if we're doing more damage putting that out on Telemundo and then not having anywhere for them to go.
Right.
Beyond, forget, if they, let's say they get to the meeting, now what? How, if you're, I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to get to that point of desperation where I see that in my language.
Right.
And then somehow I get to the meeting.
And there's nobody, and it's not there.
No, there's no Spanish. I just go to an NA meeting.
Right.
I somehow get to a meeting and nobody can help me. Am I worse off that way than waiting for an infrastructure to be put in place to be able to address it?
Mm-hmm.
That we designate. I mean, Juan Carlos, who's in California now, was very, very influential in helping get that meeting started, and also Emilio in having that meeting. I don't know if we're doing more harm putting out information and not being able to address it. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, as far as the meetings, is that we're only as good as the information we have. And I now I'm doing H&I also, just they needed help. But what happens when I send them, and this happened, I'm not making this up, I sent them to another area's helpline and nobody called them back. And then they called me and said, what do I do? That's why I think we need to have something where it's not only Georgia region sending them to that area, but that area, that all the areas have one helpline that we know is going to be answered. Does that make sense?
It kind of, sort of does. Now, to answer you, two parts. First of all, when we talked about what we wanted to do with the Spanish community, is what we want to do. It's like a wish list. We know that what happened in South Atlanta. We know what happened in North Atlanta. We know these things. But we know that also that in order for a meeting to survive, it has to be started and ran by the people who want it. That's the only way they survive. Period. It can't come from the region to that spot. It has to come from that spot to the region. And all we need to do is set up the structure for when they show up and let them know that we're behind them, that we can help them. And that's what we plan on doing. We haven't printed out one Spanish poster.
I got the feeling.
No, we haven't printed out one Spanish poster yet. The only response we ever get now is like when we do the Gwinnett County fairs and the health fairs and they come back. And what I've noticed about the Spanish community is just like how it was with addicts in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s, where saying I'm an addict is sort of a shameful thing, right? You kind of get that feeling about it from the Spanish community because they kind of like avoid us. They avoid us. You know, they don't want anyone to know. So that's something that has to come from the inside to us. But we just need to set up the structure to make it available when they come. And that's what our goal is. Because that's just one of our wishes. You know, that's one of our wishes. You know, and so, but we have to have a goal in order to get there. And that's all that is. Now, in terms of that, once again, those helplines, I know like with East End, helplines are set up differently. Like with ours, it bounces to 4 people before it goes back to a voicemail. If this person don't answer, it bounces to the next one, it bounces to the next one, it bounces to the next one, it bounces to the next one. And then it finally, if nobody answers, it bounces back to leave a message. Generally, most times, if you hit 4 people, somebody answer it, but not always. And all we can do is share amongst the PR groups of how we do it. And you know, we it's a copycat thing. We copycat each other. We do the best we can. There's no perfect way of doing this. There's no one way that's gonna answer all the questions. Even if we had a metro line, there's no guarantee that somebody's gonna always answer it. No guarantee. No guarantees. We just do real good. And like last quarter, we had something like 2,500 calls. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. People don't realize how many calls we get as a region overall in a month's time. How many hits we get to the website in a month's time. New people who never came. So it's a lot going on that doesn't seem like it's going on. And I know if I'm in trouble and you don't answer me, I feel like you failed me. But we still help a lot of people. And we just need to make it available as best we can. Okay?
We used to do in North Atlanta, we don't anymore, as a help service. And somebody's always answering. And if every area chipped in for that service, there would never be a call that wasn't answered.
One of the major problems that NA as a whole has been suffering is people to fulfill commitments in the service structure. And I don't care what level it is, whether it be helpline or whether it be H&I, whether it be PR, whether it be area, group, we suffering in every area. So those few dedicated people who have been make sure that that thing is done has done a one hell of a job. And I do not want to diminish their efforts because they do a hell of a job for what they have. It's just that we don't have enough of them. Right? 4.
I'm Robert, and I am a recovering addict.
Hey, Robert.
So, first I am now serving on the West End area.
Oh, my man.
Committee. And I am excited. I'm new to it, but I am excited about serving. And just kind of, I know we have talked about this a lot, but what Brian and this young lady right here said, I totally agree that we would be doing a disservice to put that information out there and not have some people in place that can speak, Spanish, phone line and the helpline and all of that to really help them, then, as she spoke of, even, once we get them to a meeting, then what? So I just want to kind of touch on that. And I also want to touch on, is it Danny?
Yes.
Yeah, what you shared about was the medication thing. And in our sponsorship IP, it talks about, we're not professionals, so I know, I have no business telling somebody, what they should or shouldn't be taking, because I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, yes, I totally agree with that. And then the last thing that I want to say is that, when you talked about doing, TV advertising or whatever, putting on TV, which I think is a good thing because it would definitely help to get the name out there. But I'm glad he touched on that, talked about that literature there too, because the first thing that came to my mind was, is that promotion? Is that promotion? So I think that's that it's kind of some consequences for that concern, but yeah, I definitely think that's a good idea. Television, talk about the television.
Right. So
that's just some of the stuff that
right.
I had.
We made sure when we did the public service announcement that my face didn't show up on it, or his face didn't show up on it, and that face didn't show up on it. What we did is basically, if you actually got to see it, ask your PR chair to show it to you, because all the PR chairs has a copy of it. Ask them to show it to you. It's basically us giving our message, pictures of little words from the basic text blinking on and off, and it's 30 seconds, and it says we can help and the 1-800 number. But there's nobody there, nobody personally. So it's just a message. Just think about it. This is your brain on drugs. You know what I mean? So, it's like that. But, we give them another option because, once again, we would love if they don't put us on until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's our time. Right. That's our time. Put us on at 3 in the morning, while you're sitting there loaded, and you happen to see it. Maybe one person we can help. That's all we want to do. Danny.
Hi, my name's Danny. I'm an addict.
Hey, Danny.
I am exceedingly frustrated with this idea of not being able to reach out to the Hispanic community. Exceedingly, painfully
Tell me about it.
frustrated. Maybe it's because I'm apathetic. Maybe it's because I'm too freaking cheap or lazy to buy Rosetta Stone and learn how to speak the freaking language. And I have to talk about me in it because I'm really frustrated in this. We have done our best effort to try and get people enthusiastic to make it happen. I live in a community where there are strip malls on the south side of Atlanta, where there are entire strip malls dedicated to the Hispanic community. I work in a business where I have to go into them on often. And maybe to do my job, and maybe I can find one person that can communicate enough to say, I'm here to do this. But how do I translate that into an outreach to let people know there's help available? I don't speak the language. I can love somebody to death. I can spot somebody. I know where the traps are. What am I supposed to do? Go into the trap? I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do at this point. We started a meeting, a Spanish meeting, and then somehow or another it turned into a bilingual meeting, and then there was no Spanish people going there. And how are we supposed to? We can have a table full of Spanish literature. We can have the format written in Spanish. If I can't read the language, how am I supposed to bring the meeting to them? I don't know. I'm really. I mean, this has been a passion for me for a long, long time. A long time, unbelievably long time. I moved to Atlanta 22 years ago. I've seen this need grow and grow and grow. And I don't know what to do about it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm just going off on this. You know, but it's big to me. You know, and I lose it because the apathy. You know, when somebody gets involved and it's like, oh, that doesn't work. What am I supposed to do at this point? I just don't know. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm still Juan, and I'm still an addict, and that frustration is shared because I do speak the language, but I can't be everywhere at the same one time, and it's hard to put a meeting in, let's say, Jonesboro, and we got spots of Hispanic community in Clayton County, Gwinnett County, and stuff like that. Them strip malls you was talking about. We don't have like a dump truck of that we can just put all the Spanish speaking, you know, and drag them to a meeting. It is frustrating, but that frustration is good because that frustration is what's going to lead to more enthusiasm to help, to get the availability, because there's been, throughout the years I've been here, there's been so many calls I've gotten, look, man, we need to start a Spanish meeting. I'm in the South Atlanta area, and people are calling me from the North area saying, you know, we need to do this, and I agree, you know, because everything is so widespread. There's so much space in between. This one we got Rihanna on the north side. You know, we got Louisville on the east end. me and Elizabeth and, you know, few on the south end.
Got Chico.
Yeah, and, you know, it's just, it's hard to cover such a vast area. So, and that's why I feel that empathy is the language that needs to be spoken. And that can cause a bit of frustration too, because we are verbal kind of people and we need to be able to, you know, again, I think it's me doing this, right? And if God put me in a spot where I'm going to be able to help this, you know, Nigerian joker that don't speak English,